As well, the state must create an order which would not foster only a duty giving, but also a spirit of giving among the citizens. Thus, we must ask, how does this principle plays out in a free market and the order of a state? The aspects of a human person who gives his or herself in economic action was well presented in Centesimus Annus by John Paul. He introduced the term of creative subjectivity of a person. He spoke about free enterprise as an exposure of personhood, and also about free human creativity as entrepreneurial ability. In considering the meaning of a free market, Benedict XVI gives a strong emphasis on human responsibility for moral action and the need to sustain every form of justice in society, as well as the climate of mutual trust, since, he notes, without internal forms of solidarity and mutual trust, the market cannot completely fulfill its proper economic function. President of the Pontifical Academy of Social Studies, Professor Mary Ann Glendon, while commenting on Centesimus Annus and Caritas in Veritate, mentioned that John Paul made emphasis on the energy and power of the free market, while talking as well about its moral framework. Pope Benedict brings more emphasis toward a moral and juridical framework needed for the proper function of the free market. However, they both agree that the rule of law, which secures the principle of justice toward all, mutual trust achieved in society, and moral power of a human person are the vital dimensions of a free market economy. If the development of the latter were ipso facto to entail the death of authentically human relations, end of quote. Also, he emphasized that it is not the instrument of market that must be called to account, but individuals, their moral conscience, and their personal and social responsibility. As well, he reminds that the market can be a negative force, not because it is so by nature, but because a certain ideology can make it so. This danger was also well expressed by John Paul II in Centesimus Annus, as he spoke about the danger of detachment of economic value from moral value, of the philosophy of utilitarianism and ideology of materialism, which are fostered by a welfare state, of consumerism, of corruption, and most importantly, of devaluing a human person as being merely homo economicus. Benedict XVI and John Paul II expressed their trust toward a free market economy. However, they mention that success of the market depends on the moral, ethical power of civil society and the proper juridical framework of the state which respects authentic human freedom. The ability of the free gift of self can be encouraged by the free market. Here in this part of the world, in Eastern Europe, we have experienced a system which discouraged people from their initiatives, and the whole system became the demoralizing power in our societies. The problem of alienation, fear, and desperation paralyze human energy to create, to take responsibility for the means of production, and to be proud of the fruits of their own labor. I remember when as a child, children were looking with jealousy toward the glimpses of the West as to the other world. the world where people looked happy and have everything. Dual expressions of faces of our people and gray colors of the facades of our deteriorating houses, even to us children, pointed that here is something wrong among us. John Paul II named the failure of socialism the anthropological mistake. In this region of the world, through the hard experience, it became evident that the mistaken structure of social order can be so powerful that it suppresses the human energy to create and work. It discourages the logic of the gift. A commercial society diametrically opposed to a socialist society is based on free action and free exchange. As Samuel Gregg explains, it demands a free as opposed to a coerced exchange. The word free indicates in turn that the economic process that characterizes commercial society presuppose a certain understanding of human beings that differs from the views of a man promoted by, for instance, Marxist and other deterministic visions of human life. End of quote. This certain understanding that a person must be free in order to give something of himself is a vital premise of commercial society. A person is defined by giving, and most importantly, by giving of himself. This is a basic premise in the ontology of a person, since a person ultimately defines himself by the act of giving. When there is a majority of people who are willing to share the gift of self, their collaborative and creative work, when they are willing to act not only on pure materialistic motivation for their own well-being, but toward the common social purposes, then the nation will move toward prosperity. It is evident that the pure selfishness and excessive individualism in society leads it toward division and decline. However, again, there is a serious question as to what conditions in society encourage this gift of self. Benedict XVI, we could say, explored the ontology of the gift, saying that, quote, gift by its nature goes beyond merit. Its rule is that of superabundance. It takes first place in our souls as a sign of God's presence in us, a sign of what He expects from us. By explaining the notion of gift, the Pope expressed his concern that the logic of giving in today's world is confused. The market expects to strive purely on commercial logic, namely on simply calculational logic, or solely on giving in order to acquire. The state expects to strive on giving through duty, namely on the logic of public obligations imposed by state law. Both tendencies are inadequate. Benedict emphasized that the Church social doctrine holds that the role of economic activity is also to strengthen, quote, authentically human social relationship of friendship, solidarity, and reciprocity, end of quote.